Hey everyone, today we are doing the response and recovery room. Uh, Response and recovery is the third stage in the incident response cycle. So if you haven't done the detection and analysis room, which is the second stage, I suggest you check it out first because this room is heavily piggybacking off that. And secondly, I'm not really going to dwell on the theoretical parts of this room. So I suggest you read it, understand it, and if you have questions, you can ask in the comment section. So let's begin. Uh, Prerequisites, learning objectives. Here we see the incident response cycle again, preparation, detection, and analysis. And this is where we are. All right. So check that. We're ready to start. Now here it says, okay, here it just explains containment, eradication, and recovery. So containment stops the damage from spreading. Eradication removes all the attacker presence from the environment, and recovery is to restore normal operations safely. Okay, so the question here is, according to this framework, what is the first activity that must happen before eradication can begin? That's containment. All right, here, stopping the damage. Con- uh, Containment strategies, full isolation, controlled isolation. Okay, so let me briefly explain the difference between full isolation and controlled isolation. Now, full isolation is like an aggressive approach. Full isolation is where you stop the attacker in their tracks immediately, and controlled isolation is where instead of stopping the attack immediately, you just monitor the attack. However, you limit what they have access to. Okay, so here we see the difference. The factors: speed, immediate, delayed while monitoring, risk of tipping off the attacker for full isolation is high, obviously. Controlled isolation is low. Intelligence gathered limited for full isolation. Controlled isolation is high. And full isolation is best used when the full scope is well understood and the attacker must be stopped immediately. Controlled isolation is usually used when scope is being determined and more intelligence is needed. Here is some techniques and containment responses based on the MITRE attack framework. Here the question says, what containment strategy involves monitoring the attacker's activity rather than cutting off their access immediately? That's controlled isolation. Okay, cleaning up. So, like we said earlier, eradication is the process of removing every trace of the attacker from the environment. Recovery is the process of safely returning to normal operations. Uh, we have recovery time frames. Near term is immediate actions before accounts can be re-enabled. Mid-term is where you implement controls that address the root causes of the incident, and long term provides improvements to overall security posture. Now, what time frame should the most critical recovery actions fall under? That would be near term. Current incident context. Okay, this is where we start our lab. So we're just going to start the machine and give it some time to load.
7 years later.
Okay, it's been 10 minutes, so our machine should be fully loaded by now. Going back to TryHackMe, we see that our index is index IR. So that's what we're going to be using on Splunk. Is that here? Next, we're going to change this from 24 hours to all time. Not all time, real time. All time under other. That's our search query. Good. So we're going to answer the questions now. Remember, like I said, this room is piggybacking off the detection and analysis room. So again, you should check it out first so you can properly follow this walkthrough. check this. By the way, these are the parameters we're going to be using on Splunk. Log source, source type, key fields, and all of that. Now moving to the containment practical. The detection and analysis phase confirms that two accounts are compromised and an attacker has been active inside the Nexus Financial Microsoft 365 environment. Before the incident response team executes containment actions, they need to understand exactly what the attacker did after gaining access. Your job is to investigate that post-compromise activity. Focus on the unified audit logs. This is where post-compromise activity is recorded. Examine the operations performed on both compromised accounts after the attacker signed in. Check for persistence mechanisms on both mailboxes. Any emails sent from the compromised accounts that suggest lateral movement, and any SharePoint activity that indicates data access. For each artifact you find, refer back to task 3 to identify the appropriate containment action. The questions below will alternate between what you find in the logs and what should be done about it. Use the log sources, search types, and fields listed in task 5 to build your queries. Okay, so here it says we should focus on the unified audit logs, and the unified audit logs, the source type for unified audit logs is this 00365 management activity. Now, going back to Splunk, our source type is going to be this, the management activity. Okay, the question says, what keywords does the malicious inbox rule on Laura Chen's account filter for? Answer in string format is inside the log. So keywords does the malicious inbox rule on Laura Chen's account filter for? So from the detection and analysis room, the inbox rule was operation new inbox rule. The operation for the inbox rule is new inbox rule. Okay. We have to add the user ID. It's Laura Chen, capital and L Chen. So it's L Chen we're looking at. And the question says keyword, the keyword that it contains. So we're also going to use subject contains word. This is the value. This is the value that we see here. So this is the keyword value. All right. Next question says, what is the value of the delete message field in the malicious inbox on Laura Chen's account? What now? Delete message. Okay. So the delete message value is true. Okay, next question says, what is the name of the inbox rule created on the second compromised account? The second compromised account, that means not Laura Chen. Not Laura Chen. So we're going to change the user ID here. Removing the user ID. Go back here. You see both of them again. So we're going to change it to K Patel. We're looking for the name of the inbox rule created for um this second compromised account. Okay, so we're going to go to the name field, and the value for the name field is security update. So that's our answer. Now this question says, based on task 3, what containment action should be taken against these inbox rules? Based on task 3. So we're going to go back to task 3. So you see phishing, valid accounts, email hiding rules. Remove the containment response is to remove the malicious inbox rules immediately. This is our answer. Next question says, how many internal Nexus Financial employees received the internal phishing email? Okay, so going back to Splunk, I think we are going to have to change our source type. We're going to have to change our source type to message trace. So this is our source type, sign-in management activity, no. Reporting message trace. Then we want to figure out how many internal employees received the internal phishing email. That means the phishing email was sent from company account instead of the attacker's email address. So we're going to go to subject, the subject of all the emails exchanged. Now again, from the detection and analysis room, we know that this is the phishing email, the HR policy update, immediate action required. This is the phishing email. Okay, this gives us 5 events, and now the next thing we're going to do is check the sender address. Now 2 were sent from the attacker's email, and 3 were sent internally. So the count is 3. Now next question says, based on task 3, what containment action should be taken against the phishing domain? Based on task 3, against the phishing domain, phishing response, block phishing domain at the email gateway. So that brings us to the end of the containment practical. Next, we're going to the eradication and recovery. Containment has stopped the attacker from causing further damage. Now the focus shifts to 2 things: confirming the full extent of what the attacker accessed and exfiltrated, and identifying the root cause that allowed this incident to happen. Both must be fully understood before the environment can be considered clean and safe to recover. Search the Unified Audit Logs again. Unified Audit Logs for file download and sharing activity across both compromised accounts. Then look at the sign-in logs to identify which security controls were missing. The absence of certain controls will be visible in the logs themselves. For each finding, refer back to task 4 to identify the appropriate eradication or recovery action. The questions below will alternate between what you find in the logs and what should be done about it. Use the log sources, source types, and fields listed in task 5 to build the queries. Okay. We're using the unified audit logs again. So that is the third source type. That's the previous source type. We're using the management activity source type. The question is, how many files were downloaded from SharePoint across both compromised accounts? Okay. Excuse me. So action read modified downloaded. And the next field we're going to be checking is event source. Okay, they all came from SharePoint. 5. So our answer is 5. The next question says, what is the name of the first file downloaded by the attacker from Lorechen's account? The first file downloaded by the attacker from Lorechen's account. We're going to click on SharePoint. The event source. Now, the question is the first file downloaded by the attacker from Lorechen's account. Okay, the user too. We need to include the user ID. It's Elchen. Now, this gives us 3 events, but we need to find the earliest one. And this is the earliest because this is the last one. It's the events are arranged from latest to earliest. So this last one is going to be the earliest. This is the event that we're looking for. Now we need the file name. The file name is board meeting notes july.docx. Okay. Next question says, based on task 4, what eradication action should be taken against the external sharing links created by the attacker? Based on task 4. This is it. Revoking all external sharing links created by the attacker from SharePoint. Next question says, what risk level was assigned to the attacker's sign-ins by Microsoft's risk engine? Okay, so I think here again we're going to change our source type to the sign-in source type. Something is wrong. Oh, we need to change this to all time. Yeah, here we are. Source type sign-in. We're trying to figure out the risk level assigned to the attacker's sign-in by Microsoft's risk engine. Risk level during signing. We see the field risk level during signing, and the value is none. So that's the answer. Next question says, what authentication control was absent that allowed the attacker to sign in without additional verification? Multi-factor authentication. Yeah, we all know that. And next question says, according to the recovery timeframes in task 4, what time frame should MFA enforcement fall under? In task 4, that will be near term. Near term says immediate actions before accounts can be re-enabled. Enforce MFA, yeah, near term. And in conclusion, we have learned about containment, eradication, and recovery phase. We learned that these 3 activities must be performed in sequence, and that rushing any one of them risks allowing the attacker to return. So we are done with this room, and now we're ready for the next room, post-incident activity. That brings us to the end of this room. I hope this walkthrough was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.